Hello and welcome to the Advanced Level General English Revision Series conducted by Online Akura. Today we are going to focus on formal letters. What I am going to teach you today is the basic structure of a formal letter and what needs to be included in your formal letter. Let's take a quick look at this slide. Formal letters. These letters follow a certain pattern and formality. They are strictly kept professional in nature and directly address the issues concerned. Any type of business letter or letter to authorities falls within this given category. Now, back in those days, letters was something that was very common in day-to-day lives. I remember when my father was abroad as a small kid, since there was no telephone service and especially not IDD, and what was available was very much expensive, I was waiting till the postman came and rang the bell to go and see whether my father has sent a letter. Even at a time where I couldn't read what's written, that sound of the bell actually gave thrills to me as a kid, knowing that my father has sent a letter, that my father has made some sort of connection with my mother and I. So it was so common, you used to write to pen friends, which is, by the way, is getting back on trend. I have seen it. You also may have seen it in different social media platforms. Pen friends are back on trend. And even to relations, friends, family members, people living abroad, like I said, we used to send cards for Christmas, New Year, Vesak and other birthdays. So it was very common. Sending letters was something that was very common and the most used, like I said, the most common mode of communication back in those days. But now informal letters are not used. We hardly ever write a letter to a friend. We just take the phone and within couple of minutes or seconds, within just couple of clicks on the phone, we are able to send or convey or pass on a message from a person to another person. So it's that simple now. But back in those days, it was not that simple or easy. If you have to send an emergency message, you all have learned, you can send a telegram, but that did not promise to be delivered immediately. That too took like 1 or 2 days minimum. Anyhow, formal letters are still in existence, especially if you are going to work or I'll take an example like this. Now, after your A-level examination, say that you are planning to apply for a job or even for a university. So sometimes even universities, private universities especially, or the jobs, they ask for the CV, yes, your other references and everything. And sometimes if you go through top jobs or newspaper job advertisements, you can see they have asked you to send a cover letter. So in that cover letter, you have to go for a formal method of letter writing in order to send your CV and apply for a job. Let's take another example. You are the class president or the president of the student council, or let's say you are the class monitor of or like some representative of a different association in school. You are to write to a particular office asking, or a particular place, asking them to give you permission to bring your classmates or your school club or some association to visit that particular place. That once again you will have to follow the formal letter writing method. Like the name itself suggests, it is strictly kept professional. You don't use formal letter writing in day-to-day conversations with your friends. Formal letter writing is strictly, extremely 100% professional, and like the name suggests, it's formal. Another thing that about formal letters are that they are very direct. Now when you are sending something, a message, or let's say a letter even to your pen friend or a friend or someone closer to you or someone on a personal level, you can put anything and everything in that letter. It can go on for pages and pages and pages. But when you take formal letters, they are very direct, short and sweet. You stick to the point, you are very specific about what you want the reader to understand, and you have to make sure that you include all the necessary details accurately in your formal letter. Alright, so I think you have a brief idea of how or what is a formal letter is about. So let's take a look at the structure of the formal letter. Let's take a look at the structure or what needs to be included in the formal letter. Let's take a quick look at the slide. The first thing that is included in a formal letter is the sender's address. That is basically your address. The sender's address is usually put on the top left hand corner of the page. The address should be complete and accurate in case the recipient of the letter wishes to get in touch with the sender for further communication. Now, since you are writing to a third party who basically doesn't know you, whatever the details you are giving in this letter should be accurate. You can't lie for starters, and the second thing is that you can't just give half of the information. You have to give everything that is accurately but directly, like we discussed in the introduction. So if you are writing your letter address, your full address needs to be written. Your name, your full proper residential address, or your company or the organization or the school address. Suppose that you are writing a letter from the school to a particular place, your school address needs to be included, not your personal address. The example that we discussed, the cover letter, of course you can use your personal, you should be using your personal address. Once you start working, if you are writing from your workplace to another office, another workplace, then your present workplace address needs to be included. The next thing is the date. This comes right below the address. The sender's address is followed by the date just below it on the left side of the page. This is the date on which the letter is being written. It is important in formal letters as they are often kept record. Now this is a very important point. Date is very important in a formal letter. Now once you finish your A-levels and university, and once you start working, you will understand that the date comes, or the date is something that is very, very important, because once you receive an email or any letter or any other documentation, even something common as a courier, some organizations or companies expect you to file it and keep those. Say that, for example, say that you miss a deadline to submit something, submit your assignment to the university, and to see that you have actually posted it on the correct date, but due to a postal error or due to some strike that is going on, some reason that the university got it late. So it's not basically your fault. But in order to prove it, one thing is the seal on the cover that the post office puts, and once you open the letter mentioned date also matters. So this is very important. Right below your address or the sender's address, you put the date. Receiver's address. Receiver is the person that you are writing the letter to. Now you may ask me the question, if the receiver's address is written in the envelope, what's the point of writing it again in the letter? That is actually a very good question. The reason we write the receiver's address in the formal letter is, most of the time the organizations or the companies or the formal context, people do not keep the envelope saved. It's the letter. Say that you are addressing or writing the letter to the director, and somehow the letter goes to a different department. The open letter goes to the different department, and once they open the letter, they know that inside it has been addressed to the director. Or you by any chance, without knowing the director. Now if you take a university, if you want to write a letter to the finance department, but you don't know of course the finance department will not have a specific address to them. So their address would be the common or general address of that particular university. So what you can do is, what you will be doing is, you will be addressing the letter to the university, ABC University, Colombo 10. But inside, once you put to whom you are sending the letter, once the people in the university opens the letter, they know to whom exactly that the letter should be, that particular letter should be forwarded to. Alright. So after leaving some space, we print the receiver's address on the left side of the page. Whether to write to above the address depends on the writer's preference. Make sure you write the official title, name, position, etc. of the receiver as the first line of the address. Like I said, if you are writing it to the director, you have to write Director, ABC University, Finance Division, Colombo 10. Okay, that's an example. Greeting. This is where you greet the person you are addressing the letter to. Bear in mind that it is a formal letter, so the greetings must be respectful and not too personal. The general greetings used in formal letters are sir or madam. If you know the name of the person, the salutation may also be Mr. XYZ or Miss ABC. But remember, you cannot address them only by their first name. It must be the full name or only their last name. Greetings are also very important. The reason being, in an informal letter, you can write anything and everything because you are writing it to a friend. So in the greeting, you can write dear or darling Ammi, dear friend, or the pet name of your friend, your siblings, anything, because there is no one to judge you, or it doesn't go beyond the person that it is intended to. If you are writing it to your best friend, no one is going to see that except for your best friend, or without your friend's permission, no one is going to see that. So that's fine. You can write their pet name or anything as the greeting, but in the formal context, we have to be very much polite with what you are writing or how you are addressing the people. So unless you know the full name, I strongly suggest that you stick to sir or madam. But if you know the full name, you can write Mr. A.B.C. Pereira or Miss X.Y.Z. Fernando, or the full name or the surname like Mr. Pereira or Miss Fernando. But I personally suggest you writing the full name or sir or madam. Subject is another thing, that another way of calling the subject is the topic of the letter. What the letter contains. Requesting for an extension to submit the assignment. Cover letter for the post of receptionist. So once someone opens your letter, they know what this letter is about. So the topic cannot be very long, it has to be very short and sweet, one line, and it's preferably it's better if you can underline the topic. And then comes to the most important part of the formal letter, the body of the letter. Now, like I said in the introduction, the body of the letter cannot be pages and pages long. It has to be very accurate, direct, specific, but all the information also should be included. So, the suggestion or the usual way of writing a formal letter body includes 3 paragraphs, and in the first paragraph you put the purpose of the letter. After the topic, you can write, I am writing this letter in order to request to extend my assignment submission date as I was hospitalized due to dengue fever. I am writing this letter to request permission from you to visit the National Museum on, so you can put the date along with my history club colleagues of ABC School, Colombo. So even if the person does not read the second and third paragraph, by the first paragraph itself he or she knows what the letter is about. And if it is not an area that the receiver is handling, he or she can give it to the relevant person. Say that I am a manager of an organization, or let's say the National Museum, I am the manager, and a student sends a letter requesting to permission to visit, or informing us that this particular day, this particular students are going to come with this number of students, etc., etc. But as the manager, I won't be handling reservations and bookings in the museum. So after reading the first paragraph, I know exactly to whom I should be giving that letter to. So that particular person would read the full letter and attend to it. Alright, in the second and the third paragraphs, you can say that the assignment late submission, you can mention that the submission of the assignment was on 10th of November 2024, but unfortunately I was hospitalized for 3 weeks and I was discharged from the hospital only on 15th of November 2024. And then in the final paragraph you can mention, I have attached the copies of my medical reports for your reference. Now when you are sending a letter like a request letter, it is very important that you send proof or any other documentation to support what you are requesting or what you are informing, whatever that it is. If it's necessary, it's better if you can send attachments of any document that is necessary. So this particular document, you don't have to send the originals, of course you will have to send the photocopies of those documents, right? And the tone of the content should be very formal. The tone is the way that you are using, or the words, the vocabulary sets the tone. Now, if yes, you were sick and you were unable to send your assignment on time, but still it's something that is a mistake or a concern from your part, right? Because the university can ask you, why didn't you send it before 10th? We gave you the assignment 3 months ago, so why did you wait till 10th to submit it? Why did you wait till the deadline to submit it? You could have submitted it beforehand, right? So partially in cases like this, yes, getting sick is nothing that we plan, but something like that the university can question. So to avoid that, you have to be very polite, but that doesn't mean you have to beg and plead, right? But indirectly, yes, you are begging and pleading and you are asking them to give you the time or extend your time to submit the assignment. That's just an example I took to describe the tone. So you can, if you try to show attitude, or if you try to be something like, look, I was sick, I can't help it that I got sick, so extend the date. No, that's not going to happen. The person will throw the letter to the dustbin. You have to use words like, please kindly consider my request. I do understand that I shouldn't have waited till the last moment to submit the assignment, but unfortunately I got sick and I was unable to do that. I would really appreciate if you can consider my request and extend my date of submission. I have also attached the medical documentations or the medical reports or whatever the doctor reports for your reference. And finally you can write, waiting for a favorable reply. And another important thing is, do not use any flowery language. Like we discussed from the very first slide, this is a formal letter and it is used in professional setting. So no flowery language. And then we come to the closing of the letter. So here, not like an informal letter, you have to be once again very polite and respectful. You can use phrases like yours faithfully, yours sincerely, and that is also on the left hand side of the paper. And then the signature. Now, you may be a student in the school, but still in this case you have to tell them who you are. You write yours faithfully, yours truly, and then you put your signature and write your name below the signature, and then you have to mention who you are. Even if you are a class monitor writing a letter to an official, it doesn't matter. You can write class monitor, A-level biology class, ABC College, Gampaha. Right. So whatever your designation, you have to mention that. And if you are a manager or some executive level, if you have a seal, you can put your seal next to your signature or the conclusion part. But even if not, you can write your name and designation. Now this is a sample of the structure of the letter. The students, please note that there is no letter in the body part. It's just a summary of what we learn, what we include in the body, but this is the formal structure of a letter. Now in Sri Lankan context, if you are writing a letter in Sinhala, the address can be written in the right hand side, and even the conclusion part, the final signature sometimes is written in the right hand side. but if you are writing in English, kindly stick to this format, because what we use here is the standard format of formal letter writing. The sender's address, date, a space, receiver's address, That brings us to the end of our lesson. I hope you understood, and I hope that if you had any doubts that everything got cleared. I will meet you with another session on informal letter writing. Stay tuned and thank you for watching.